Felix here, and welcome to this pre-market live stream. We finally made it online. I want to walk you through 8 incredibly important concepts, patterns, and pieces of information so that you can make better decisions today as an investor and avoid the pitfalls and avoid missing out on the great big shiny opportunity in front of us. Because I'm loving this sell-off. And I appreciate that doesn't come naturally, but by the end of this video, you hopefully be as optimistic as I am, because it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful stock market. So I want to walk you through this. I want to walk you through the bad news first, right? Let's hit you in the face with the bad stuff. Algo funds are selling. Yup, that's not good. There's lots of bad news. I'll show you all of it so that nothing will faze you. But then there's a silver lining. I will tell you when the market will rebound. I will give you the great news to keep you somewhat excited. I will give you NVIDIA's answer to DeepSeek, which is interesting to say the least. Massive Tesla news, PayPal news as well for you bag holders out there. And then finally, least but not last, actually definitely not least, very, very important, the chart they don't want you to see, which will tell you why I've got such a big smile on my face. So there we are. Do you want to see this? If you want to see all of these 8 facts, write 8 in the chat so I know that you want to hear it, and I'll tell you all about it. Put an 8 in the chat there. And hello there to my friends in Israel, in Germany. Scott, you are here, brilliant. That's the first 8. You see, Scott is always fast off the mark here. So let me give you some bad news first, because you need to be aware of it so you know what the heck's going on there. And lots of 8s here, brilliant. You wrote 8. You have the mind of a golden retriever. You associate everything with food. Lots of 8s here, amazing, brilliant. Good morning there to Boston. I've been in Boston for a while. Boston's an amazing place. At least it used to be. It's still a nicer place as it was. I was probably last in Boston 20 years ago. Is it still that nice? It was beautiful. Now, CTAs, what are CTAs? CTAs are algo funds. I'm loving all the 8s, guys. I'm going to ignore the 69s. They're naughty. Algo funds are computer-driven funds. You'd think computers would be beating the market by now. They typically are not. But no matter what happens over the next week in the stock market, it can go up, NVIDIA can come in with the most amazing earnings in the world, you know, robots will be dancing in the White House, that sort of thing. Well, the algo funds are going to sell if the market's flat. They're going to sell if the market goes up. They're going to sell if the market goes down. The same thing happens over the next month. So no matter what happens, there is going to be some selling. Not massive selling, but some selling. And that's definitely something to be aware of. So that's a little bit of not great news, right? Not brilliant. What about this one here? Bank of Canada warns that US tariffs will trigger the worst crash since 1992 with a 2+ year recession ahead. I think they mean for Canada. So put a little bit of a disclaimer on that one there. I don't think it's that important unless you're heavily invested in Canada. For my Canadian friends and all the moose tuning in, we love you. So it could hit you hard. You better negotiate and tell the Muppet running your country to negotiate with the the loon in the US. Now, Tesla got this news out. Tesla's board chair sold 65% of her shares, a whopping $168 million worth. It's worth sitting on the board of Tesla, isn't it? And she sold basically round about the Donald Trump election victory. That could be bad news, right? Maybe it's all over for Tesla. Well, let's get back to that in a second. Trump's team, this is a Bloomberg article from right now, exactly doom merchants. Why are algo sellings? They can't help themselves. It's just computers. When the markets drop a little bit, it flags certain things, and they have certain rules. They might have dropped below, I don't know, a 20-day moving average or something like that, and they'll sell. It's not really about rebalancing. These are not mutual funds who rebalance with bonds and stocks. They just buy and sell fairly randomly according to some sort of rules that somebody punched into the computer in circa 1989. Algo funds are a terrible investment, in my humble opinion. They tend to really, really, really do a bad job. Jeff, you're from Canada. You're lovely people. Honestly, I've yet to meet a Canadian who isn't an absolutely lovely individual. So, yeah, we like the Canadians. Now, Trump is going to toughen Biden's chip controls over China. They're pressuring the Dutch and the Taiwanese and everybody else. And that could be bad for who? Well, it could be bad for NVIDIA. It could be bad for, if I could spell NVIDIA, TSMC. It could be bad for literally anybody in the chip space. It's just bad for chips overall. Not the McDonald's chips, they're just fine. Did you see that McDonald's is starting to ID people in certain parts of New York to get into and order a burger? That's funny, isn't it? Funny. I mean, sad, but also kind of funny. And in Europe, nobody wants to buy the, Nazi Tesla cars. Apparently, they'd much rather buy a Volkswagen. Apparently 45% down, Aaron, because of Musk's meddling. Now, this is a Bloomberg article, and for some reason, Mike Bloomberg seems to really hate Elon. I don't know why, maybe because he's richer than him or something. So, yeah, not brilliant, right? So there is some bad news. And I'm liking some of the comments here in the chat, guys. Loving it. Let me know if some of this is making sense, by the way. Like, write sense in the chat, and then I know that it's making some sense. We also have, and this is again from Bloomberg, or Doomberg as I call them, they're saying they think unemployment is going to skyrocket. Well, there are two explanations for that. One is that maybe Trump isn't going to cook the numbers quite as hard as the last guy did. But yeah, there are firings, there are layoffs, there are job cuts, which are all the same thing, by the way, right? But it's a bit more dramatic if we got 3 different words for the same thing. So they've spiked to 15,000, the most in 12 months. Not exactly millions of people unemployed, but yes, there are investment bankers being laid off, and we've started a GoFundMe page for the HSBC investment bankers that just got laid off. I mean, some of them apparently cancelled the orders on the second McLaren. I mean, it's some real hardship. I feel sorry for people who are getting laid off. And the real story to this is, I don't know if I took a screenshot of that here. No, I don't think I did. Some people think that the Trump administration will lay off 1 million people. And that's going to shake up a lot of people's lives. I totally get that. But if you think the story through, right, the concern we had as, if you just take away all the politics, just focus purely on the money, right, which is kind of what we try to do here. Probably failed to do that fairly miserably. But if you just focus on the money, now they're going to reduce, or they are reducing immigration of whatever form, right? So less immigration means less people working in theory, and therefore it means less growth possibly, and just higher wages, which is inflationary right now. You lay off 1 million government employees, and let's just assume that the private sector is willing to hire these people. And in theory, that would actually fill a massive gap. In theory, you're redeploying people from outputting apparently nothing, because they can't reply to an email and tell you what they did last week, to actually outputting something. In theory, that could be a good thing, right? Does that make some sense? Or are you just offended by that because it's a sort of Trumponomics, if you want to call it that? But anyway, some people are worried about that. Some people are worried about the unemployment. Now, what's the other silver lining? When you get lots of unemployment, what do you also get? You get lower interest rates. And it's one of those things that makes us investors kind of immoral, because in a sense, we benefit from higher unemployment. Pretty freaking weird, isn't it? It's like Wall Street is cheering for unemployment basically. Up to a level. If it gets too high, it affects earnings. But a little bit of unemployment Wall Street quite likes, because it keeps interest rates kind of nasty. Is that nasty? If you think that's nasty, I think it's nasty. Put write nasty in the chat to see if you still have a soul or a spine or a moral compass, or if it's been completely washed away by the lot on Wall Street. All right, Bitcoin below 90,000. That's not good, right? That's a sentiment thing. Okay, some of you still also think that's nasty. Yeah, Pascal and Alpha and Paul and William and Brent and Carlos. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But it's the way the capitalism works, my friend. So not really that much we can do about that. Now, the real question therefore is, and the challenge is, and I want to tell you the good news in just a second, because there is some good news, is therefore like, what do we do, right? Do we hold on to the stocks? Do we sell them? Do we short the market? Do we buy put options? Like, what do we do with this information that, lots of stuff is bad right now? Well, I was literally sitting in a restaurant this evening, and there were two chaps sitting next to me. And one was a bit older and clearly sort of better off, and the other was a young kid who was sort of eager to learn from him. And the older guy was in finance. He was some sort of finance guy. And the younger guy was essentially saying to him, you got some tips for me? Can you give me some, something to like basically invest in and make money with? And the older guy said, well, it's not that simple. It's I could give you something, but then, they don't necessarily always work out. You need a bit of time. You need to learn. You need to put in some effort to really understand it. And the younger guy clearly didn't want to learn. He just wanted the tip. He just wanted the fix, right? Give me some money. Give me some money. And the older guy was reluctant to hand that over. And at the same time, the older guy was sort of subtly bragging. He was a little bit like he was on the phone and he was traveling to his wife and he was saying, oh yeah, they've just been in LA and they've been traveling to this country and that country. And, his children had been to five places in the last 6 months or something, and he was sort of subtly bragging how well he was doing, and you could see the younger guy getting really frustrated and being like, just tell me how, just give me just one trade. And I thought most people are wired like that, right? Most people just want the quick fix, but he was right, the banker guy, that if you give, if I was to give you say one trade that I thought was going to be brilliant today, then I'll give you a few, but that doesn't actually change anything, because tomorrow you're still like, what's the next one? Give me the next fix. And what if that one doesn't work out? Now you don't know whether you should hold it. Was Felix right? Was he wrong? Should I exit this? Should I sell it? What should I do, right? And what I love about you guys here, and we've got 2,500 people in this room, is that you are actually here to learn. Otherwise you wouldn't listen to me for this long. Actually walk you through much deeper information than 99% of people out there ever will know and understand. And that's also why I like to give you the rules. I like to give you the systems and the structures, because there's a pattern to all of this. And you can see through the noise of the headlines and see the same patterns. And I'll explain to you today's patterns. You can really be insanely well informed. But ultimately, you got to learn the chart patterns, because the chart is a reflection of all the noise and all the news and all the expectations and every piece of information out there in the world on any given stock or any given index, and it follows certain patterns. And once you understand those, you wake up with a smile, even if the market's down 5% or whatever it is right now. So what I want to give to you is literally the rules to trading and investing, the same rules, and you can access those if you like at felixprehn.org/get-free and learn on your own for 15 minutes, learn the actual 3 rules. And if you then wanted to learn more from me and get some hands-on coaching and mentoring, and you don't have to, but you could, it'll also give you a way to do that. So who's gonna go and watch and learn the 3 rules? If you're gonna learn the 3 rules, as in when to buy, how to manage it, and when to sell, then write 3 in the chat. And I know that you're actually gonna do something. It's also a little micro commitment to yourself to actually go and do that. And I'd suggest you go and do that right now. Stop listening to me drivel on, and instead, literally today's news is not that important. The knowledge and the skills to spot the patterns forever after is what's important. So put a 3 in the chat there. And Alpha Charlie, I know you've already been there, my friend. I love that you're Alpha Charlie tuned in. When's the first time you tuned in, my friend? Not that long ago, right? 2 weeks ago or something, and you tuned in and you were fishing for trades and you were losing a lot of money, and I had a bit of a go at you. Loving all the 3s, my friends. And I said, you got to stop doing that, and you got to paper trade, and you got to learn. He's doing exactly that. Very, very proud of you, my friend, because very few people actually get out of that mindset switch, right? It's hard if you've been gambling to step away and actually say, hey, I could do better, and we can all do better. So let me give you some positive news then. Apple says they're going to Matt says, where are your morals? Just asking. You mean regarding the unemployed? No, look, ultimately, you can't control the world. What you can't control is your economy. You can control your family's well-being. You can control your financial security, your time freedom, what your money is doing for you. That you can control. You can't control everything else, right? So, yeah, a lot of things I don't want to invest in, but I can't. Capitalism isn't a fair system. It isn't. But it's the best system we've got, right? Look at a map of South and North Korea. Literally, look at that, and you see what the other system does. Okay, some good news here. Apple is going to open AI server factories in Texas, a part of their $500 billion US investment. Now, I never really believe these numbers. They're exaggerated and padded. It won't be 500 billion, but even if it's just 100 billion, it's a tremendous boost. And of course, this is also a tremendous boost to the whole chip world, right? Whether that's NVIDIA or everybody else in that space. That's definitely a good thing. Can you hear Tallulah meowing? Yeah, she was. She wanted to get into the kitchen, which I presume she was hungry. She's feeling really, really well, actually. It's amazing, that cat. Complete turnaround. She was like really depressed, really not moving, lethargic, and waking up like 6 times in the night, crying and stuff, like a newborn. In the last 2 days, which is really, really lovely to see. I have an animal healer in the UK, amazing lady. You know, if I need somebody, like drop me an email. I'll give you a contact. Now, all right, let's just assume this bear market is going to get really bad, right? Say it goes -10 or -20%. How often has that happened since 1945? Well, a lot of times, 14 times. How long does it take to recover? 7 months. Right. What about -20, -30 times? It takes 25 months to recover. -30 to -60 times. Now that's sort of dot-com bubble type stuff. Minus 49 months to recover. Now, do I think that's gonna happen? No, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think the dot-com bubble comparisons are misguided, because in the dot-com bubble, there were all these companies out there. I used to work for a dot-com business at the time. I was like 19 or something. And they weren't making any money, and they weren't planning on making any money. That's very different, right? Microsoft's making a lot of money. Google's making a lot of money. Amazon's making a lot of money. Tesla's making a lot of money. Meta's making a lot of money. Right? NVIDIA's making a lot of money. Everyone's making money. So it's a very, very different setup. So I don't think we're going to go to anything like that. But if we go down 10%, 3 months later, we're back, right? -20%, 7 months later, we're back. So it gives you like 3 months to buy cheap stocks. It gives you 7 months to buy cheap stocks, basically. Brilliant opportunity. Now, for you PayPal fans, and then we're going to look at some Tesla and some Palantir, and then we're going to look at some of your favorite stocks here. Frankie, down $675,000 in a week and loving it. This is where wealth is made, buying up great stocks, amazing deals. Every crash is the time to build up your portfolio, and everything always comes back better. Frankie, if I could see you, I'd kiss you, my friend. You are exactly right. Stocks on sale is the brilliant opportunity to make money. Problem is that the 99% don't understand the patterns. They don't understand what always happens, which is why I'm sharing it with you here. And therefore, they sell at the bottom of the market, and then they wait for it to peak, and then they buy again. Really, all you're doing is you're basically driving to Midtown Manhattan, which is where all the Wall Street bankers hang out, and you're taking all your savings, and you're just meeting one of those bankers. They wear little Midtown sort of vests. Have you seen those Patagonia vests? That's what they wear, with their bank's name on it. And you're just going, take my savings. That's basically what people are doing, because they lack what? They lack a structure, lack a system, they lack rules, right? So crying out loud, get yourself some rules. You can get mine at felixprehn.org/get free to help you actually get free, right? So do that. Now, PayPal is having an investor day as we speak, and they're going to talk about accelerating growth. We like the word accelerate. New merchant opening, that's a new product, PayPal Open. It sounds like tennis, but apparently it isn't. A new partnership with Verifone, and Fastlane expanding with JP Morgan internationally. Now, there is something even better. Crossroads, he runs a great channel, by the way. Definitely follow this chap on Twitter for PayPal updates. And he said they've updated guidance, showing acceleration over several years to hit 10% transaction dollars, 20% plus earnings per year, as long as a long-term target, a new Fastlane partnership, and omni-channel partner, and a new product. I haven't got all the details yet. I haven't listened to it yet. I shall do that. But this looks pretty positive, and so far, well, we're liking it. We're trading at $77. Yesterday we closed at $75, so that's a $2 recovery. It still needs to go a little higher for sure, but it's very early in the day, and very few people will have read this by now, so this looks somewhat good. Now, what else we got? Do you follow Ticker Symbol U, Alex? Great YouTube channel, especially on NVIDIA and techie stuff and so on. And he posted this, and I think he's very, very, very spot on there. He's saying, DeepSeek will destroy NVIDIA. That's what everybody said. And then NVIDIA, hold my beer. NVIDIA has just introduced DeepSeek R1 optimization for Blackwell. That's the new chips, delivering 25 times more revenue at 20 times lower cost per token compared to the Hopper, the previous NVIDIA chip, just 4 weeks ago. So what does that mean? It just means that buying a Blackwell chip just became 25 times more or 20 times more attractive. Do you think people are going to upgrade to this? Heck yeah. So they basically are just taking what DeepSeek has done to optimize compute power usage, however that works. I'm not that level of techie. And they're basically rolling it into the product. So 20 times lower cost. You think people are going to buy this chip if it's 20 times cheaper to run? Yeah, I think so. They're going to line up around the freaking block and they're going to say anything. They'll pay you anything because we can save 20 times cost, and therefore we can have massively better margins. And it's going to mean AI is going to roll out faster and faster and faster. So I think this is very, very, very positive. Now, did you do that VIX trade? I explained this to you on a masterclass and a live one a little while back. Our trade this morning is up 253%. Why? Market's been dipping a little, if you hadn't noticed. And I'm probably going to take some profits on that today. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It depends a little bit on how it's going. But you see the power of being prepared by setting up a trade like this when you are in that beautiful, everything is perfect pattern. And you know something like this is going to happen, because you know something like this happens with incredible frequency, especially when Trump's president. So we're going to possibly take profits on that if it goes a little higher, and then we're going to make money on it coming down, and then we're going to set up the same thing again. We're going to make money again and again and again and again. And how can you do that? Well, honestly, I think you need somebody to teach you. It's a little complicated. It really is. It's just a little complicated. Can anybody learn it? Yeah. Is it super, super hard? No. But I think you need somebody to hold your hand through it. You need to practice it a few times. You need to make sure that you're doing it right. Otherwise, you'll lose money. So there is always a silver lining here for people like us. Here's another silver lining: Tesla. Oh my God, yes, FSD in China. Let's fucking go. And we weren't sure they were going to allow that in China, right? But they have, which is tremendous. So you think people are going to buy Teslas in China? Yeah. Right. Is there a trade tariff risk thing there with Tesla? Yes, of course there is. But at the moment, it looks pretty good, right? So go and do the one thing before I show you the biggest chart in the world that literally no one's looking at right now, which would be, you normally do a big options trade 20 days out from expiry. No, about 2 months out, something like that, a little bit longer. Because you need to allow a window for something crazy to happen, right? Like something crazy doesn't happen every 20 days, but it happens 2 or 3 months typically. There's usually a little blip somewhere. And if not, we'll actually still make money. Like it's almost impossible. Literally on that trade, it's virtually impossible to lose money if you're doing it right. Literally, it's just one of those things. I'd say like there may be 10,000 people in the world who do this trade. Literally that few. And I've got about 5 of them on my mentor team. So it's like an options nerds trade, but it's just one of those things. Once you understand it, you're just like, what? Everybody do this. Like, everybody should have this trade open all the time, right? So come and learn with us. Trish says, it's time to start thinking about the people in the world, not just the stock market. 1 million people laid off is horrific, Trish. I think you misunderstand me, Trish. I do think about those people. What I am saying is that you can't control it because the American people have voted the way they have. And is it better that you make money out of this because you know what's going on? Is it better that you protect your money? Is it better that you make your family better off? Yes or no? And would that then put you in a position to, say, do something charitable? Look after the causes or the people that you care about? Yes or no, right? Would you be in a better position to do that? So honestly, I think charity starts at home. Like you need to look after yourself. You need to be in a strong position to do whatever you need to do, and then you can literally support people and you know you care about and causes you care about to your heart's content. And that's a beautiful thing we can do. But what do we need for that? We need financial freedom, right? And so I think a lot of people spend a lot of their time just shouting about things they're outraged about. When really, if you look at everything as a bit of an opportunity, And it doesn't mean you don't have any morals. It doesn't mean that you don't care about people. It just means that you are then in a position to actually do something about it rather than ranting about it. Because I've tried ranting. I rant quite a lot, as you can probably tell. It doesn't get that far. But you can do stuff, and you can do cool stuff. And I do lots of stuff for things I care about, and I don't chat about it because it doesn't really matter to other people, but it matters to me, and I can do that because my money is doing the right thing. And that's really the important thing. People sort of say money is bad. No, money is the one thing that gives you power, right? Why is Elon Musk so powerful? Because he's got that much money. Very simple, right? Because he did something very amazing a lot of times. Got some really amazing companies. Maybe you don't like the guy, that's okay. But he's got that power, right? Why does every billionaire buy a newspaper or some sort of TV station or something, or X? Because it gives them power, but it's the money that gave them the power. And they can use it for good, they can use it for bad, but it's really up to you. Like, you can use money for the good things and you can make the world a better place. But it's hard to make the world a better place if you're sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours a day, driving home, you're tired, you're sitting at home, and then you're going to eat some KFC, drink a bottle of wine or whatever, and go to bed. Like, it's hard to do good. So the traditional setup of 9 to 5 wage slavery makes it very, very hard to do anything meaningful. And that's intentional. In my humble opinion, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist on that one. I think that's intentional. It keeps you down, right? So my intention here is to move you up and allow you to move up, and therefore let's make the world a better place. And I joke about these things, but I totally get that they're serious things, right? Sachs being laid off, it's definitely not fun. I had a lot of friends in banking who got laid off, and many of the banking crisis, and of course they don't get any sympathy. But they still have mortgages, they have children, they have school fees, they have all the stuff to pay for, and it's horrible, it's stressful. But the ones who were prepared, the ones who looked after their money, they're okay. And they actually come out of it stronger and better. But let me give you the one piece of news that might actually put a smile on your face. Fred is the Fed's sort of data system where they put out their data. It's a website. It's called fred.gov.something. And M2 is what? M2 is money, as they say in the UK. It's money. And, well, what happened here? Jerome Powell lost his mind and he printed $4 trillion of dollars, which was insane. And then he tried to shred some again, not very successfully, but he shredded a little bit. And right now, what are they doing? Well, can you see that it's positive? It's above this green line that I'm drawing in. That's the zero line, and it's above that. More money, printing. So yes, they're printing money. Now, what happens when you create more money? Asset prices go up. What are assets? Stocks, real estate, crypto, you name it, it goes up. And what does that mean? Well, it makes the wealthier wealthier, because the wealthy have assets. It's an unfair system, completely. It makes the poor poorer because it causes inflation, and it makes the rich richer. Welcome to the world. It isn't a fair place. And you could try and fix that, but it's very hard, because the only alternative people have come up with so far is communism, and that makes everybody poor except for the very, very rich, which is pretty much the same outcome, but a little bit worse. So money is being printed again, and therefore, in the long run, the stock market. It's one of those things. Like, as long as they keep printing more money, things will only ever go up, which is brilliant. So all right, so I didn't see all the chat here. I see some amens. Yeah, sorry for the rants there. Somebody triggered me, and I'm sure you have lovely intentions, and I welcome disagreement. By the way, I'm not one of those people who says everybody needs to agree with me. I will block you if you're being a dick. Sorry about the language, but generally speaking, if people just say, "Hey, I disagree for X, Y, Z reasons," of course I love that. But if you're just putting out nonsense in the comments, sometimes I will block you. And I didn't used to do that, but I got annoyed with people. I started to do that. PayPal, my friends, 3 minutes into the morning, and we have gapped up officially, up 3%, which isn't a huge amount, but it's definitely better than a kick in the nuts. So that's quite positive, isn't it? PayPal there, maybe no longer PayPal. We'll see. There should be a lot more news coming out at the end of the day. The big speeches were the beginning of the day and then the end of the day, and in the middle there's sandwich all the other noise. Tesla is down another 2% here. That's not looking particularly wonderful, is it? Is that sort of a Not a very wonky head and shoulder. Could be, hey? Can you see what I can see? See it? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So how do those work? It's a really, really nasty pattern. So what you do is you draw a line from one armpit. Oops. You draw a line from the bottom of one armpit to the next. That's what you do. This is not a great head and shoulders, but it is one, I think. And then what happens is if you drop below that line after the armpits, if you drop below that line, you run for the freaking hills and you bury all your gold and your cans of sardines and you know, throw the dog and the children in with it because it's all over. It's a very embarrassing. We're not there yet, but we're pretty close. So be interesting to see what Tesla does there for that. So definitely watch out for that one. Yeah, don't cross 320. I agree with you on that one. We're pretty close. Where's the support? Scott? Yeah, at 320. Yeah, not looking beautiful here for Tesla at the moment. I must say, I'm kind of loving Tesla the cheaper it gets. I just find it hard to see, you know, all the stuff they're releasing. We've got, there's a new Model Y out, right? There's a cheaper Model Q. There is robo-taxis. What's happening with the funky handwriting here today? This is all in the next 6 months, by the way. It's like 6 months of releases. And then before year end, we will also get robots, actually. So how people are bearish on this just because of politics, I find super, super hard to understand. But it could be a tremendous opportunity for those with a strong stomach lining. Let's have a look at Palantir, which has been absolutely tanking the last few days. And by the way, again, to understand those patterns, do one thing: learn the patterns, and learn it in like 15 minutes. Seriously, you just go to felixprehn.org/get-free and learn that. And if you want to get the charting software that I have here, which is something that we built as well, that's called TradeVision. felixprehn.org/TradeVision. You notice how we now have a wide chart? Isn't that cool? So you can toggle on news, you can toggle on your watch list, which you can now also edit from here, or you could toggle on options if you're an options nut like me as well. Most commonly known as the neckline, not the armpit line. I think that's the armpit line. It's kind of more appropriate. I feel it's unpleasant. You don't really want to sniff other people's armpits, do you? So Palantir is it's consolidating at the support just about. You see that here? That green line is where the market makers are meant to be selling. If you go on a shorter time frame chart, say a 5-minute chart, and you actually see what's going on there live, then what do you see? Well, you see that, yeah, we're hitting that support line here again and again, and we're bouncing off it. So far it's holding, and we better hope that it holds, because otherwise I think we might fill the gap all the way down to 83 or something. Carl, you had options watch forever. You must, because you still call it options watch. We renamed this over a year ago, my friend, to TradeVision, because it isn't just about options. It's really for anybody who's investing or trading or anything like that. So I appreciate you loving that. How do you add an options leg to a prefab trade? Very simple, my friend. You just right-click on it. Just right-click on it. Add an options leg. So you can buy this and you can sell that, and you can then click on it, and then you can make it 3 of this and 2 of that, and like go nuts with it. You can do all sorts of stuff. And then you can also see how that behaves on every single day during the duration of that trade, say it was a longer trade. Like you can simulate how it actually behaves. You can simulate what happens if volatility goes up or down. Loads of cool stuff. So yeah, I'd say this is by far now the best options trading tool visualizer out there. You can actually predict and see what the trade's going to do, all possible outcomes before you set it up, which was always the intention. So you can do that here through the little options tab on the right. Aaron should have implemented my stop loss. I'm sorry, my friend. Most of us have to go through pain to learn. It literally, I'd say 90% of the people who come to me with, I've lost a ton of money. I'd like to talk to you. And I always think, wouldn't it be nice if people came to me and said, I've had an amazing year and I want to make sure that continues? Some people do, but it's very few. So it's just, I think, one of those things we just think that we know it all, especially as guys, right? I think we're just built that way. We're not really built to ask questions. We're built to go out with a big hammer and break stuff, and not really go, just the right kind of size of hammer. It's just not the way most of us were brought up. NVIDIA here, well, at 130, it's 129. It's basically making out with the purple 150-day moving average line there. You don't want to close below that line. That would be bad, very, very bad. At the moment, we're basically trading at August levels, at July levels, at June levels, so just going sideways. I hope they have knockout earnings. Katie, appreciate you enjoying Trade Vision. Katie, guys, get yourself a free trial to that as well. Tesla down 3%, MC Hammer. Where do you get that painting behind you? That was me, I'm afraid. I paint. That was I actually painted that for my office. I had an office and there was a very big wall in it. I built the office, renovated the office, and then I thought, well, we need something on the wall, so I painted it in about 2 days. And then it's oil. And then I sold the office because I didn't really like having an office. And everybody works remotely and everyone's much, much happier and much, much more productive. It can work. I think in small teams it can work. Probably in large teams, maybe not. So yeah, I no longer have an office, which is brilliant. And then I can just work anywhere with a laptop. So that's where that came in from. Hedges are going to push NVIDIA down, Paul. And yeah, you're probably quite right on that one. So typically, when people start hedging, it pushes the stock down. You see that also before big inflation announcements or big Fed announcements or big earnings. And then as they close the hedges, the sort of insurance after earnings, that actually lifts the thing up. So that's often what we see. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but that's often what we see. Let's have a look at SoFi as well. Felix holding that Tesla bag. I am actually, yes. I'm holding some Tesla options, Leap options. I actually nibbled on some more yesterday. Yeah. Occasionally, I make a fundamental decision. Not very often. Very, very rare. It's probably one in a 200 trades or something. And I'm not saying I'm going to be right on this one, but at the moment, I'm liking my risk setup here. SoFi at 1426. Yeah, neither here nor there, really. But at least it's trading at the top of today's trading range. That's something positive. I know that another German painter and it didn't work out well. That's good. That's true, actually. He was Austrian. Although, yes, the Austrians don't really like to acknowledge that. The Austrians, everyone's like, oh, they're lovely people. Germans, Hitler. Right? That's the way it works. History has a funny way of branding things. Now, anything else you want us to look at, or are we good? Anything else? What was somebody just shouting out there? Hood. Oh, yeah. Robin Hood has been falling and falling and falling. Down another 3%. Now, it's still above the 50-day moving average line here. And you see how it bounces off that? It's almost as if these lines matter, right? But it did drop below the support, a little bit at least, so that's not good. So we'd like it to close above 49 today, please. And Mozart was German. No, he wasn't. He was Austrian, wasn't he? He was definitely Austrian. I know he's the Germans think he was German, but he wasn't. What was we just going to look at? We were going to look at Archer. ACHR. Down another 2%. Yay! I actually got stopped out of this one, which is a shame. I made some money on it, but I got stopped out of this one. So we will look for another entry point, see if it's earnings or whenever. But at the moment, it isn't exactly a brilliant entry point. I would say we're at the sort of the bottom range of January, so nothing massive, but still not loving it. KMDA. I also got stopped out of that one. Again, not a profit, which is kind of the point. That is also dropping. Bounced off of the 50-day moving average line. That's something. But yeah, I didn't like the drop the last few days because it doesn't look like much, but you see that the volume was increasing as we were selling off, right? Which isn't brilliant. You don't want to be dropping with like faster and faster volume. So a bit cautious on that one. Mozart was born in Salzburg, which was independent at the time. You mean it wasn't Austrian? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Salzburg was like an independent town, was it? Or they had their own sort of prince or something, did they? I don't know. Actually, that Mozart movie is very good, isn't it? If you haven't seen that yet, that's actually a very, very good film. Pretty rare of good films. I was going to look at ANET, Luna, but since you're spamming it, I'm going to ignore it. What's your hair care routine? Okay, now you're just pulling my leg. S. Miller, you got stopped at ACHR2. Not such a bad thing. Mozart was a joint venture, was it? I'm not so sure about that. I think the Germans can have Mozart if they keep Hitler. I think that's the deal. Luna's world is sad now. Okay, I was just being. Sometimes the power gets to your head. Smash the like buttons, by the way, guys. It'd be lovely if we get a little bit more than 400 likes with 3,000 people on the chat here. It's a bit depressing. It's not my fault the market is dropping. I'm just trying to show you that you can make some money out of that. Yeah, this is not good. You basically, you dropped through that red trend line. That was a warning. You dropped through the 150-day moving average line at $99. Yesterday was a hideous candle on massive volume. So, this is not looking pretty. This is why we set stop losses, right? Yeah, this was a good entry point over here. Almost the official breakout, according to the software. Okay, they called it a little bit later, but that was still a good entry at 83. But then you wanted to get out somewhere between 104 and 100, basically. Tesla entry for long term. It really depends on you and your stomach lining. Right? I'm liking Tesla fundamentally. I'm a big fan of what they're doing, but doesn't mean it's gonna go that way for weeks or for months, right? It could take a while. 513 likes. Okay, that's a little bit more respectable. You do all your trades in Think or Swim. Mostly, I have a couple of other brokerages, but I like Think or Swim, so I'm usually a little bit more active on Think or Swim. It's pretty easy to use. Damon is reminding us of Nike. Yeah, we've been watching that one, waiting for a breakout on the spandex news. The Kim Kardashian, butt in Nike gear news. And look, it's really nice. It's broken above the 50-day moving average line, above the trend line, above the 150. Nice candle yesterday, but the volume is not even double the previous day. So I'm not loving it. I need more volume. Like institutions are not buying this. And that's the problem. You want to see a lot of volume on a breakout like this. Otherwise, it's quite likely to fail. At the moment, it looks like it's going to fail. Fox Gaming, my friend, welcome. We missed you. Amand, I answered your question. Brilliant. I call it sink or swim. Yeah, at the moment it feels like that, doesn't it? Lemonade's reporting, yeah, that one. Lemonade could make a comeback if risk is back. A good indicator of whether risk is back. One thing is to look at ARK. That sort of tells you a lot about how the market's feeling, and the market's not really feeling it right now. The other thing to look at, of course, is VIX, the lovely little volatility index, which is right now at, where is it? At 1950, which is pretty good. And it's sort of, makes our VIX trade quite profitable. And it's sort of one of the high points we've had in the last, month or so. It's fairly rare that we go much higher. That's pretty rare what we saw there in December. So might be a point to take some profits on a VIX trade. And then if it pops above 20, we'll reverse the trade essentially and make money on the way down. We can go higher, of course, into the 23s, 24s. It's pretty unusual to go much higher. So there's always a balance of profits now or maybe no profits later. How's Rivian green today? I have no idea. Support and resistance, are they influenced order blocks? Support and resistance, say on a big stock like an Apple, for example, it's essentially all the options positions in the world for the whole future calculated to then tell us where the market makers, who are the sort of buggers like Citadel, where they're buying and where they're selling. And the red line tells you where they're selling, pretty accurate here. The green line tells you where they're buying, right? So it works particularly well for like the bigger stocks. So yeah, definitely for large caps, it's a very, 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 very useful piece of information to have. You get stopped. I love NBIS. I never got into it. I set limit orders that were too tight for 2 days in a row. Didn't get into it. So sometimes that saves you. Ivan says this is the best indicator. Yeah, this is a tremendous one. And you can even now, let me get rid of the other lines here. You can even now see the history, which is also very, very useful because it tells you about trend. Literally nobody in the world has this because we literally work with every data provider in the world, and none of them have this. So we're tracking it ourselves since December. We'll be the only people in the world who have this historic data, which is very cool for us tech nerds. But yeah, it tells you a lot. If it's going up, the resistance, the market is expecting the stock to go up. If it's going down, like it did here, the market's expecting the opposite. So it's a very, very, very useful piece of real-life market data information. And you can get that where you can get that only in TradeVision. So get yourself a free trial to TradeVision, and then you get that in tons of other stuff, portfolio tracker and loads of stuff, breakout indicator every day and everything else. Ivan says it's true. I checked other platforms. Yeah, nobody has it. Literally, we pay like a fortune for data from every data provider there is out there to put TradeVision together. And everyone's like, nope, we don't have that. Nope, we don't have that. Nope, we don't have that. So we calculate ourselves and then we track it. Cool. AG, brilliant, guys. So on that note, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? Are you going to go and walk away and just say, that was nice. I learned a lot of stuff. I haven't really got time to learn. I'm going to watch him again tomorrow for half an hour. So what I'm trying to say here is I'd much rather you watch the masterclass and actually learn than watch me walk you through the day's news and the day's events, because it's actually going to help you a lot more. So for the last time, felixprehn.org/get-free is the link. Go and watch it right now. Let me know in the chat if you're going to watch it. Just write free in the chat because you want to get free. It is also free, by the way. And I know you're going to take some action. You're going to make today an important day where you up-level your skills and your knowledge. I love you for watching. I love you for tuning in. And